Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here, and jealous son of Abaddon. And today I'd like to take a moment to discuss black magic. Okay? Black magic, as in sorcery. Okay? Anything that does not apply to mainstream religion or thought forms. Okay? When we think about black magic, we think of things like necromancy, digging up corpses, to baneful or destructive magics, the seduction of the maidens, things like this. But in so much more, especially when you get into Hollywood produced films, you deal with the image and the idolatry of how a warlock is considered to be evil, how goes around on a killing spree for totems. Okay, this is just the mundane variation of imagery. Okay. Now, according to the Ten Commandments of the Bible, which most mundane individuals of any philosophy tend to gravitate towards and believe more in, even though the JCI and Christianity has committed more sin than any other faction out there. I'm talking everything from waging wars to rape, murder, pillaging, incest, idolatry, you name it, they've done it. Okay. Even genocide of a populace just because they didn't believe in their God. Okay. One might say that they are the very embodiment of black magic, but no. No, 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 no. The JCI has nothing to do with magic or sorcery in general. Necromancy was dubbed the first and darkest of all the seven forbidden practices because it dealt with chiromancy, either within rejuvenation or spiritual conjuration, dealing with the knowledge and the practices of fortune telling, or what later became known as fortune telling, I should say. It is where you're surrounded by death. Things like gems or crystals, things like bloodstone, onyx. Okay, just to name a couple. Dealing with the hand of glory, the severed left hand of a murderer that was recently executed for his crimes or her crimes, to going into graveyards and other religious foundations, such as abandoned churches, dealing with things like, oh, I don't know, let's go with a bone um, wand, okay? Dealing with herbs and griscus bags, dealing with death agents such as the banshee, who foretells an individual's death, to dealing with, say, for an example, the zombie mythology, okay? Dealing with creation of a zombie, to say, for an example, that of the black dog mythology, of unleashing the hounds of hell, which are associated with Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, necromancy, ghosts, and the underworld, who is also ironically associated with justice. Okay? Every single path working or root working within necromancy works with either the Klapoth, the tree of death, that of a god or goddess of death, of the dark arts, like, say, Circe, the mystic goddess, that of, say, for an example, Hecate or Hel, Hel, not to be confused with that of the JCI Hell of fire and brimstone, to that of Set, Loki, Anubis, Inti, Supe region. Okay. Every single philosophy worldwide has gods, goddesses, and spirits. Okay. Some form of black magic that deals with both beneficial magics, but also baneful and harmful magics. Okay. It's not just in necromancy. Any form of sorcery can be baneful with the right motivation. But let's look at some of these tools. A skull. Okay. A skull is associated with black magic because of the spiritual vortex that it can be created for. The hand of glory, necromantic practices. Okay. Dealing with the wand or the athame. The athame can be used for the cutting and slicing of the flesh away from the bone, to that of, like I said, the wand created out of, say, for example, a femur, or perhaps forearm. Okay, grind it down into a wand, perhaps with a hook, or say for example, Summon Dread would put it. You could even utilize it any kind of bone, really. If you walking in the woods and you see an animal that's been, a carcass of an animal, dig out the bones. Utilize these bones. Okay? A hip joint does wonders for hexcraft, for destruction rituals. Okay? Femurs are very powerful because they're the strongest bone in the body. Okay? You look at what your femur literally puts up with. Okay? You can be a 400 pound person, and that femur holds you up. Your joint may give away, but that femur remains the same. It is very, very hard to snap a femur in half without the right leverage. Okay. But black magic doesn't just associate around this, it also associates with spells and fortune telling. Sheer romantic rituals of working with demons, working with, say, for an example, like I said, the gods and goddesses, even forecalling spirits of your ancestors. If you're into Voodooism, Palo Mayombe, one of the African, Cuban, and Portuguese type traditions that hail from Africa. Okay, this is an ancestral lineage that goes back hundreds of years. Okay, experiments have been done with the utilization of spirits, from creating potions of to either cure, to make ill, or even to kill an enemy. Things that have been associated with the various different trials of hexcraft, cursing. Take, for an example, the canning jar. Do you know how many traditions uses the hex jar? You'd be surprised. A lot. A lot of them utilize this. Most individuals shy away from what they refer to as black magic. But my cat's over here going nuts. Not sure what she's looking at. But, anyways, as I was saying, a lot of traditions tend to shy away from black magic, or what they refer to black magic, without the understanding that they themselves are utilizing a form of black magic. Do you know how many individuals tend to place hexes and curses on people. They claim that it's for teaching them a lesson, perhaps even removing an enemy. But is that not considered baneful magic associated with black magic, such as nigromancy, which was chiromancy originally? You see my point. Black magic comes in all forms, but it's how you utilize it. The left-hand path or the left hand was chosen for the very imagery of the left-hand path because it is a personal gain. Okay? Why would you want to wait around for a legal system to decide one way or the other about your fate? Or perhaps your land use, okay, your home. Perhaps it's something to do with medical bills, perhaps an illness. Anything that is afflicting you that you need help with, turn to black magic. Let the gods work them out. Do you know how many times myself and others have utilized just the Nine Kings? How many times I've opened up the floor, the altar room, my world to Paimon, Beleth, Belial, just to name a couple of the Nine Kings, even Asmodee, and let them have their way. All I did was clearly state what I needed, the intent, the means of what I'm working towards and what I need their help for. Paimon is great for opening and persuading men's minds. Beleth is a great manipulator, and Belial is a great leader. Okay, he's known for being he who has no master for a reason. He bestows senatorships. Okay, and when you combine these three, depending on what your goal is, what your intention within your path is in need of, you'd be surprised what they can do just in the background, especially if you call on them for that help. When you utilize Asmodeus, Asmodai, okay, demon of desire, demon of wrath, okay, just imagine what he can manifest in your life, okay? If you want to learn sorcery or magic in general, the purest sense, Adnan, Adnaan, is a Mazingira Cabal system deitas, a servitor of Schoenberg. Okay, and I'm probably butchering his name. It's a Russian name. Okay, Chernobog. Okay, is the spelling. Now, according to the Tower of the Iron Throne, Adnan Adnan is the teacher. Okay, much like Zaniel out of the Grimoire of Armadale. But you look at most of the beings of the Goetia of Solomon. Do you know how many of these deities, these beings, can teach you how to do arithmetic, mathematics, sciences, things that are associated with alchemy, the occult, even witchcraft? It's ironic, isn't it? You're seeing the same things being reworked and rewritten. Or are they being rewritten? Think about it. Which region are you studying in? When you go into other root workings, if you go from Greek into Egyptian, or perhaps that of Indo-European, go into Russian, Slavic traditions, all of them are different, but they utilize the same deitas. When we talk about the spider mother or the spider goddess, okay, think about it. Arachne, the Greek goddess, who literally went up against Athena because Athena was jealous. Depending on which variation of the story you go by, because there is a couple of them. Athena challenged Arachne to a duel of weaving. And when Athena lost, she turned Arachne into the queen mother of spiders, the one we know as the spider mother or the spider goddess. But wait, let's go into Native American lore. The creator, goddess, spider mother. Another variation of it. Amazing, isn't it? Every single tradition has the same lores, the same genetic makeup of sorcery. And a lot of them predate JCI, which is why they've been associated with black magic, why they've been associated with demons, jinn, okay? Or even that of the old gods. If you're following Lovecraft, the Necronomicon by the Mad Arab, perhaps even, say for an example, you want to talk about the Dark God, Kornobog, okay, which is a Slavic deity known as the Black God, the Dark God. Go into Zoroastrianism and you have Orion, Satan today. Interesting how that goes, isn't it? Depending on which region you go into, you're going to see it. But imagine what you can do if you align your life with those deities, learn from them, grow, and master your surroundings. Remember, the alchemical change starts here before out here. Black magic is about power. It's about knowledge. It's about utilizing that knowledge to dominate the world, your universe, to achieve what you want. Perhaps this is why the seven forbidden sins or the seven forbidden practices became evil to begin with, because it was either their way or the highway. And when a country comes in or a religion that becomes dominant through fire and brimstone enters your world and destroys your populace and declares it evil. Isn't that like calling the kettle black on one hand? But yet, it also calls for baneful vengeance, doesn't it? Perhaps that's why very few accounts shows just what black magic can do to an enemy through cursing and hexing, through the elimination process. Perhaps even through the Witch of Endor when Saul went to her under the cloak of night and she looked him right in the face and called him out on his bullshit and said, "Why are you trying to ensnare me?" You see, wisdom, knowledge, and power is what black magic's about. Learn it. Learn for yourself, not for somebody else, and see where it takes you. Don't be afraid to roll up those proverbial sleeves and get your hands dirty. Because there are things that black magicians and sorcerers are capable of doing and willing to do to achieve that knowledge. But there are those that we keep from the public's eye. for a reason, not only for our own protection and the protection of our covens, but it's more so because the world is not ready to hear them. Maybe someday the world will wise up. Maybe someday the world will get their head out of the proverbial asses and stop trying to water things down and corrupt them and to see magic for what it really is, a potent source of power, personalized power. Your black magic is your own, mine is my own, and we all bring something to the table. But the question comes down, are you willing to share it? Are you willing to stop living your life in fear and stand up for what you believe in and stop cowering under a judicial system or a corrupt government that doesn't give two shits about you except to make you a slave like the JCI? Words of power. We live in a time where the pen is mightier than the sword. Perhaps, perhaps one of those silk pens, the ones that you write with ink, like in the 16th century. Think about it. And until next time, have a good day.